Perfect. As long as it's reasonably robust. Does anyone want me to quickly show you how to make one, or are you all good? All good? Okay, we'll make a start. We're going to start tonight, you'll be delighted to know, laying down. So a supine start. And I want you to use any or no props whatsoever to make yourself comfortable. So if you want to lay on your bolster or use the bolster to put your feet on or your head on or your shoulders, whatever, if you just want to be perfectly flat, then do that. You've got to be comfortable for the next 5 minutes or so. So just bringing yourself down to the mat and laying yourself down. I might not stay laying down because I'm very aware that the sound isn't quite so good when I'm laying down. So just slowly bring yourself down to the mat. You can either have the soles of your feet on the mat with maybe your knees knocking together, or your feet at the edges of the mat, or maybe you've got your legs out straight. Whatever is most comfortable for you. So yogi's choice tonight, you know your bodies. Well, hopefully you're getting to know them a little bit better. So let's start just by really becoming very heavy on the mat. So noticing where your body is making contact with the mat, letting the sacrum flatten. Try and engage as much of your spine onto the mat as possible. So maybe you're needing to just to have a little roll through your pelvis to find out where your spine can sit flat. And then letting the shoulders spread, be heavy. Palms are upturned. And just coming into the space, just slightly tuck your chins. That will help elongate the neck. Allow a little bit more space in the spine. And let's just take the next few rounds of breath to connect with the breath tonight. So really noticing how you're feeling. How the day has left you feeling. Maybe you've had a bit of a rubbishy day. Maybe it's just been a sort of nothing day. Maybe you've had a great day. I hope that's the case. But in any case, just leaving the day behind, leaving it off your mat. So it's just you on your mat. Don't bring the day with you. Just here and now. Connecting to your breath. Letting the belly be soft. Starting to observe the rise and the fall of belly breath. Noticing which parts of the body are being moved by the breath. Perhaps you're aware of a kind of gentle lulling movement as the rib cage rises and falls. It's quite a nice position to observe the breath in when you're laying down. You can really feel the breath into the back body, it's the back of the ribs. You're making contact with the mat. And then just bringing the attention to the breath entering the nostrils. So see if you can discern the cool breath as it enters the nostrils. And follow it all the way down to the belly. And then follow it all the way out again. So just this simple journey of the breath. Cooling through the nostrils, all the way down to the belly. Maybe you can notice the slightly warmer breath as it exits the nostrils. Noticing how your brow feels. Try and release any tension in the brow, the eyebrows, and the facial muscles, perhaps the jaw. Just release the jaw, let there be a parting between the teeth. Make sure those shoulders are really heavy. And let's just do a little bit of Samavriti breathing, which is equal action breathing. So your count, your breath, we're going to inhale to a count of 4 and then exhale to a count of 4. So no breath retention at either end. So just inhaling for 4 and then exhaling for 4. Keeping the breath equal length, the inhale and the exhale. Excuse me. And now keeping the inhale to a count of 4, just see if you can extend the exhale by 1 count. So exhaling for 5. You can hear some strange noises in the background. I've got my dog laying very close to me. He always likes to join in, although he's not in shock, but he's snoring quite heavily at the moment. So that's him, not me. I'm going to blame him. He's very chilled at the moment. He's doing his inhale for 4 and then exhale for 5. So just a couple more rounds of this breathing exercise. And now just letting go of the counted breath. Let your breath find its own natural rhythm, perhaps noticing how you feel now. Hopefully everything's starting to slow down a little. And just have a very deep inhale and just let it all go with a sigh. Take a couple more of those. Nice big inhale. Let it out with a sigh through the open mouth. Last time, big inhale. And exhale it out. Now, if you've had your knees bent, if you can just stretch both legs away long. If you're laying on any of your props, perhaps you can just pop yourself off them so that you're flat on your mat. Just take a moment to release your back body into the mat here. And then on the next inhale, let's take the fingertips up and overhead, really stretching away with the fingertips and then with the toes. So let's take a full body stretch here. Really stretch it away, point away with the toes, create lots of space between the ribs and the hips. Stretch, 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 and release. Just leave your arms overhead, but let them relax. Just take a moment here. Maybe just wiggle your weight from side to side in the sacrum, from buttock to buttock. So just starting to bring a little bit of movement into the spine here. And then coming to stillness, let's take that full body stretch again, really reaching away along with the fingertips and with the toes, and release on the right hand side. So let everything on the right hand side relax, but we're still stretching away with left fingers and left toes. So we're stretching the left hand side and then totally relax. And now let's stretch away with the right hand side, pointing away with the toes, stretching away with the fingers and relax. Now let's take a cross body stretch. Left toes, right fingers, So we've got this torsion going on across the body. And relax. And now right toes and left fingers. I have to think about that one. And relax. Now walking both heels over to the left-hand corner of the mat. So both heels are over towards the left corner of the mat. And now both hands to the left corner of the mat. So we're in this funny banana shape. So we're really stretching out in the right-hand side of the body here. Lots of space between the bottom of the right ribs and the right hip. And a little bit of compression in the side body on the left. Make sure you're still breathing here. Find your breath, really connect to it. And then relax and let's walk the heels back to center and then the fingers back to center. Just take a moment here. Take a little waggle from side to side on your buttocks. And then come to stillness and let's take the right heels over to the right side of the mat and the right hands, both hands to the right top corner of the mat. And have this lovely long banana stretch. Stretching the left hand side now. Noticing if there's any difference between the two sides. Try and relax your feet while they're in this position. Make sure you're still connecting with your breath. And then slowly walking the feet back to center, arms back to center, and let's bring the arms back up and overhead until they come to rest down by our sides. From here, just bringing, bending into both knees and bringing the soles of the feet flat on the mat. So we've got our knees bent. And just hugging the left knee in towards the chest. If you can grab hold of your shin, then do that. Just taking a little stretch here, seeing how that feels. If that feels okay and you feel reasonably loose, or you want to progress this just a little bit more, extend away with your right leg. Take it away long. Gently, gently, gently. Just noticing how that feels. So we're nice and long in the right hand side of the body. Really hugging that left knee in towards the chest. If this doesn't feel like a good stretch for you tonight, just leave your knees both bent with soles of feet on the mat. No need to progress. And then let's slowly bend into the right knee and bring the sole of the foot back to the mat and place the left foot down. Now let's draw the right knee in towards the chest, grabbing around the shin if you're able, or just letting gravity assist the knee being somewhere near the chest here. If it doesn't get close to the chest, it doesn't matter really. The point is that the knee is bent and it's over the body. And if you want to progress it, let's take the left leg away long, very slowly, just sliding that heel away. And seeing how that feels. See if you can ease the knee in any closer to the body. Doesn't matter if you can't. We're just giving the body a few little exercises to do. Nice, slow, mindful movements. And then slowly bending into the left leg, drawing that foot back up. And let's draw the left knee into the body as well. So both knees are in towards the body. And just hug them in, maybe taking a little roll from side to side here. Massaging the lower back into the mat. And then let's take the sole of the right foot down to the mat here, leaving the left knee where it is. We're going to start doing those nice wide knee circles. So we're working into the hip joint, just being very slow and mindful. These might only need to be tiny movements for you, depending on how your hips feel today. I know a couple of you have hip issues. Just do as little as you can to get this job done. This isn't a how far can you go, how much can you do. It's actually how little can you do to tick the box. So as long as we're making circles and we're circling into that hip socket. Let's reverse the direction now, go back the other way. So if you're able to take your leg away long and then bending the knee out to the side and back in, do that. If that range of movement is too large for you, keep it very close to home. Very tiny circles. Just imagine you're drawing circles with the knee. And then coming to stillness, and let's just work into the ankle while we're here. So nice slow circles. Wiggle the toes while you're doing this. And then let's go in the opposite direction. And then let's take the left sole down to the mat. And bring the right knee in towards the chest here. Just taking a moment. And then let's start our hip circles on this side. Just noticing if there are any differences. Maybe you've got a larger range of movement on this side. Maybe it's a smaller range of movement. Perhaps you're very tight in both hips tonight. Or perhaps you feel amazing and you're doing huge, great hip circles. Good for you. Nobody's watching. So just making of this what you will. Changing direction. And then coming to stillness with the knee over the chest, and let's just work into the right ankle joint. Mobilize the foot. And change direction. And then depending on how your hips feel, you'll be the best judge of this. I just want you to lay for a couple of rounds of breath in Baddha Konasana. This is where we bring the soles of our feet together and let both knees just gently drop out to the sides. Now, it doesn't matter how far they go down. It doesn't matter if they go down at all. But if your hips don't open very much, it would be a really good idea to put your bolster to just support your knees here, or maybe even take your feet a little bit further away from the body, because I want you to be able to lay here in stillness with your hips as open as your body will allow it. So I do want them to be supported. So if you've got clickety or sore hips this evening, maybe you need to make your diamond shape a whole lot longer. So it's just a tiny opening of the hips that's fully supported underneath with your bolster. I'm going to use mine just to demonstrate in case you're not quite clear what I mean, but use the bolster and just put the soles of the feet together and let the knees just flop apart here. Now your palms can be upturned or they can be on your hips, wherever would be comfortable. And while we're here, I want you to release all tension in your legs and your knees and your feet, in your hips. And let's bring our awareness to the back body here. So tuning in with the parts of the spine and the shoulders and the back of the head that are making contact with the mat. Tucking the chin slightly, let's get a little bit of extra length in the spine here. And just noticing how you feel when you're supported in this way. Hips are open, we're fully supported here. So nothing about this posture should feel in any way challenging. If it does, I really do invite you to make it a lot less of a shape. Take it to your most comfortable position where you can still pretty much keep the soles of your feet together. So it doesn't matter, how close to your body the knees are. Just let your feet be together. And just following the inhale and the exhale once more, seeing if we can keep that nice measured exhale. We're really inviting the body to be in this rest and digest mode. We no longer need to be on high alert, ready to flee at any moment. Just calming right down. Our body is giving our mind signals that the day is coming to a close and it's getting ready for rest. And the body in return is giving mind signals that it can stop thinking quite so much. We don't need to list make. If you are a bit of a bedtime worrier and you lay in bed and thoughts and worries tend to stop you from dropping off, sometimes it's an idea just to commit to paper things that perhaps you could turn your full attention to in the morning. Sometimes by just getting them out of your head onto a piece of paper before you turn in some small way, acknowledges that you have started to address whatever might be worrying you. And of course, not using anything with blue light at least an hour before bedtime will really help you unwind. So now that you're about ready to drop off in this position, I'm going to get you to move. So we're going to shift. If you can get your bolster, all of you who've been using bolsters in that move, well done. You're almost ready to set up for the next part. I want you to just shift your bolster or your pillows, whatever you've got, so that they're complete. So it's completely under your sacrum. So a bit like when we do supported bridge pose, and we put something under the flat bony part of our the bottom of our spine, or the back of our hips, if you like. So we're not just supporting our bum, it's kind of a little bit higher than that, but not quite into the small of the back. So there's a bit of a sweet spot. So let's first of all just bring our feet so that they are about hip width apart, and our knees are bent, and our shoulders are really flat and have yielded into the mat. Arms come away from the body so that they're not in the way of the bolster at all. So they're wide enough that they're not touching the bolster. And then from here, very gently, I want you to bring your right knee in towards your chest. Let's just hold that there for a moment and see how that feels with your sacrum being supported. At this point, you might suddenly think, I might need to change that a little bit. So just have a bit of a wriggle and a fidget here if you need to. And when you feel that you are fully supported and your shoulders nice and flat in the mat, let's just extend that right leg up towards the ceiling. Now you don't have to get it dead straight. We're just taking the leg up. That's all we're doing. I want you to get the sense that you are being supported by your bolster, your cushion, your pillow, whatever. We're just going to let that leg hang there for a moment. And then thinking about how that feels, maybe bringing your arms to the ends of your bolster now, or your pillows, whatever's supporting you. You can hold on for support. We're very gently going to bring the left knee in towards the body and see how it feels if we take that one up as well. If it only feels comfortable with one up, leave it at one. That's absolutely fine. You're still getting the full benefit of this posture, which is an inversion, which means our hearts are higher than our heads. And to have our legs in the air is very, very calming. So if you can manage both legs in the air, excellent. I will be mailing you your medals tomorrow. If you can't do it, don't worry, you'll get a medal too. So legs don't have to be straight here. We're just seeing how we feel when we're in this lovely position. This is an especially nice posture to do if you can scoot your bolster up to a wall. It takes a bit of a faff to get into position. You have to start off laying on your bolster lengthways and then shuffling your bum around. But if you can lay with your legs actually up the wall on a bolster, it is marvellous. And the longer you can stay like it, the more marvellous it becomes. So this is very, very calming if you've had a busy day, particularly if you've been on your feet all day. So just observing how this feels. If you only felt comfortable with one leg up, now would be a great time to swap legs so that you have a go with the other leg. But if you're happy with both legs in the air, just have a little go at flexing into both feet. See how that changes things. So we are bringing a bit of tension into the hamstrings now. Not absolutely vital or crucial, but what I don't want you to do is kind of be in this over exaggerated kind of plow position. Imagine, have a quick glance at your screen and check that you're just making a pleasing kind of right angle shape. Although your bum's hoisted up into the air, you haven't flexed too much at the hips. We want the hips to be reasonably, we don't want them to be closed is what I'm saying. So we don't want the angle to be lessened there. So maybe have them as open as it's comfortable to do without it impinging on your lower back. So we're just going to hold this for a few more breaths. Noticing how we feel with the feet flexed, and then maybe explore with the toes pointed. And then very gently, let's bend into both or whichever knee you've got up at the moment. So we're starting to lower down now, nice and slowly. Just taking a moment with gravity, holding your knees over your chest. And then really, really slowly and mindfully, let's bring one foot down to the mat and then the other foot down to the mat. And then what we're going to do is slide the bolster out of the way. And very, very slowly and mindfully laying the spine down one vertebrae at a time. So we're curling the back onto the mat. We've been in that supported legs up position for a little while. So we need to just let everything flatten out here on the mat. So feet are still hip width apart, and very slowly we're going to just start taking them over towards the right and then towards the left. So not a huge movements here, we're just windscreen wipering the knees. So we're actually rolling from one buttock to the other here, but knees are going in the same direction. One knee is going the same direction as the other. So the next time your knees come over towards the left-hand side, we're going to bring them all the way over if we can. But make sure your shoulders stay where they are. So only come as far with your knees as your shoulders will allow. And you should feel a nice stretch. It should feel like a nice stretch into the right hip. If it doesn't feel nice, just bring the knees back up to upright again and just take very small windscreen wiper movements here. Otherwise, if you are comfortable holding this spinal twist over to the left-hand side, maybe lifting and turning your head towards the right here. So just getting the full body twist here, bringing out the tensions of the day. Notice if any tension has crept into your feet or your hands or your thighs. Anywhere you can let it go, make sure you're still breathing. Then head and neck come back to center, and slowly, slowly let's bring the knees up to center. And very slowly and mindfully, let's bring them over towards the other side. So feet are still only about hip width apart. Just noticing if they want to go as far on this side as they did the other. If they don't, it doesn't matter. But keep those shoulders down and just come to where you're resting. Maybe you need to just swing your bolster round at this point so your knees can relax onto the bolster. Entirely up to you. It's not cheating in any way. It's just assisting. And then if you want to lift and turn your head to the left to get a full twist, then do that now. And then head and neck slowly come back to center. Knees slowly come back to center. And we're going to take the right leg away long. Bring the left sole of the foot in as close to the body as you can get it. So the knee is still bent. And then we're just going to roll out onto the outside of the left foot. So we're bringing the knee down to the side of the body. So we're doing a supine version of tree. So wherever your foot is, it doesn't matter if it's on your thigh or above or below your knee, just so that we've got this hip joint open. If that doesn't feel like a nice movement for you, really slide the foot all the way down your leg until it's almost near your ankle, or just have the knee bent and up. So exploring what feels good for you if your hips don't feel that comfortable tonight, but ultimately we want to be so that if we were hovering above looking at ourselves, we would look like a number 4. So right leg is outstretched, left knee is bent, sole of the foot is inside the thigh, just noticing how this feels here. Trying to let go of any tension in the back body. Noticing the sensations in the left glute. And then slowly and mindfully, let's bring that knee back up to center. Let's bring the right leg up to join it. Let's extend the left leg away long. Right foot comes in close to the body. Let's just explore where this feels most comfortable. And then roll out onto the outer edge of the right foot so that the knee comes down to the mat. And we've opened the hip on the right hand side. So you might notice here you've got a slight torsion in the pelvis. Maybe your left buttock has lifted slightly off the mat. In fact, this move might be one that makes you aware that you've got a bit of a tilted pelvis. Not at all uncommon, especially for those of us who've had babies, for us to have slightly off-skew pelvises here. So just noticing how this feels, letting go of any tension in the feet, the buttocks if you can. And then slowly bringing that knee back up to center, assisting with your hand if you need to. And then bring the other knee, draw it in to join it, so both soles of the feet are on the mat. Then one knee over the chest and then the other. Let's just hug the knees in and take a little tiny roll from side to side here. Massage that lower back. Really go from side to side. And then very carefully and mindfully rolling onto one side, whichever side is facing your monitor so you can see what's going on. So your favorite side, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to take a moment here. So maybe outstretching the arm that's underneath, cradling your head, taking a moment, and then slowly using the hand that's uppermost, just pressing into the mat and bringing yourself very slowly up to first seated. You might want to remove any socks you've got on at this point because we're going to start and do a few moves that might require your feet to be a little bit grippy on your mat. So let's make our way into an all fours position. I'm just going to take my fleece top off. I'm actually warm enough. So just taking a moment here to set yourself up in an all fours position, imagining that you are in neutral and your elbows are turning to face each other. Your hands are spread wide like starfish. Really push the mat away here. So we get this nice doming in our shoulders. Maybe you can feel the stretch all the way down into your lower back, into your sacrum. And then let's tuck the chin right in. So we've got full engagement in the very top of our shoulders here. And then let's reverse that. So dropping the belly down, starting to do a reverse arch in the back, or hollowing in the back, that's what I meant to say. Bringing the chin up. Really enjoying that stretch there. Still active in the arms and pushing the mat away. Let's reverse it, bringing the chin back in again. Pushing the mat away as we create lots of space between the shoulder blades here. Push, 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 push. Chin comes right into chest.
maybe think about what's happening with your thighs here. Bring a bit of awareness to the thighs and see if you can make the inner thighs coming towards each other. It's a bit of a chore loss, but it's something to do while you're doing nothing else. And then let's just drop the belly, lifting the chin. And taking this nice stretch here, really strong in the arms. And then coming back to a neutral position. From here, maybe either walking the knees back a little bit or taking the hands forward a little bit, bringing your big toes together and widening your knees on the mat. Just pushing yourself back now into a long, wide-legged child's pose. Now, ideally, I'd like to be able to spend a few rounds of breath here. So if this pose is not a great one for you, if you're not comfortable in this pose, either come back to knees about hip width apart and take a lesser version of child's pose, maybe with your bolster between the backs of your legs and your bum, so you can kind of perch on it like so. Or maybe you want to put a block or your bolster in between your knees so that you can kind of squat on that. Whichever way you can, but ideally we want to be downward facing and we want to be at a nice long stretch with our fingertips reaching away, but with our forearms down on the mat, and maybe resting your forehead on a block or a cushion, whatever. I want you to feel fully supported in this lovely restorative posture. Such a nice posture to get into. Obviously, if you've got a bit of a cough at the moment, not ideal, feel free to take a break or come up to seated or go back to laying down if you felt more comfortable like that. We're just going to take a few rounds of breath here. So really connecting with your breath. Connecting with the belly breath in particular, trying to let go of any tension in your feet or your thighs or your jaw. Trying to let any tension release in the hips. And just noticing what the sensations are present when you're here in this shape. Perhaps you're aware of the compression that's going on. If you're already thinking, I can't wait to get out of this, when's it going to be over, then it's time for you to move and put yourself in a more comfortable position that you can hold. The lovely thing about all these seemingly restrictive or compressed yoga poses is the minute we release from them, the energy that rushes to all those places that have been constricted or restricted in movement. That's when all the magic happens. So very slowly and mindfully now, walking your hands back up in towards those knees, bringing the knees back in so that they are parallel. Just taking a moment here of either cat and cow or whatever movement instinctively feels nice. Maybe you want to take a few arches of your back. Maybe you want to turn and look at your heels. Maybe you want to do some cat-cow. Maybe you want to come forward and back. Just explore. Have a moment or two of doing what you think your body might benefit from now. Just taking a few gentle movements. And then bringing your palms back under your shoulders here. And bringing your right knee, very slowly and mindfully, just scoot your right foot forward so that we are kneeling on the back knee and we have our right knee at right angles. Okay, so we're in this low lunge here. And then what I want you to do is bring your left hand. Now this is where you might need your yoga brick or your dictionary or your cookbook or your bolster or whatever, depending on how you're feeling tonight. Just place it to the left of your right foot and bring your left hand down onto that block. really sending your hips away high. We're going to turn and bring our right arm up to the ceiling. We're going to look up at the fingertips. So we've got a stretch going on here. Hopefully you can feel it in the outside of your right hip, in your right glute. So it should feel quite strong in the outer edge of the right hip here. So just taking a moment here to see how that feels. And then slowly and mindfully, let's bring that arm down, bring the head back to center, bring the hands back down to the mat, and just moving the block out of the way for a second, but having it handy. What I want you to do is swivel round so that the left knee turns to look at the long edge of your mat, so that your shin is parallel with the short edge of the mat. So we're now in this kneeling, facing the long edge. We're just going to outstretch that right leg, and we're going to flatten the sole here if you can. If you can't, if your feet are stiff and a bit achy tonight, don't worry about it. But if you can get on that edge of that foot, it's good. So we're upright on this knee. Maybe you need to pad under your knee. Just roll your yoga mat up if that's not comfortable. Maybe using your block brick or whatever next to you. What we're going to do is bring the left hand down to that support, and then we're going to take a lovely stretch. First of all, bringing the arms straight up so we can look up at the palm here. Really reach away tall, so we're getting a full stretch out of this side body over here. We're nice and long. And if that feels okay, we're going to take the arm, going to keep going and just take the arm over the head, reaching away so the elbow is over the right ear. So really stretching away with those right fingertips, really feeling a lovely stretch in the right hip. We're nice and long through that right leg. And then slowly back up to center. Bring that arm down. Slowly come back up. Let's bring both knees in together and make our way back round to where we started on our hands and knees. Obviously, we need to do the whole thing the other way round again. I will make sure that I'm facing you all the time, but you do what you need to do. So this time we're going to bring the left foot forward. So setting yourself up here with the left foot forward, and your block, brick, cookery book, dictionary, whatever you might need. Maybe if you're long armed, you don't need any of those things. I find for me, I'm quite short in the arm, so it means I've had to crank over to get the best stretch. It's working with it really and figuring out what's best for you. So bringing your right hand down to the block here. So it's, your hand is about level with your foot. So we've got foot, hand, and taking a moment here, just sending the hips back. We're going to start a rotation. So it's our ribs that are starting to turn now. And then we're going to bring the arm up and over so that we can look up at the outstretched palm here. So we've got a twist going on. Hopefully you can feel the engagement in the outer left hip here. So really stretching away, lots of space on the left hand side, just noticing what's going on here. And then slowly bringing that arm all the way down. I'm getting ready to do that shuffle. I'm going to have to turn completely around the other way. So we're just bringing we're swiveling round on the right knee. So we're still up on our left side here. And then we're going to take the left leg away out to the side. So the foot, the arch of the foot and your knee are probably in line. Just play with it until it feels comfortable. You want to be reasonably upright. Your block is where you can bring the floor up to meet you, so it's a bit more comfortable. You've got this nice line going on there. Once you've got yourself set up, let's just take that arm up so that we can have a look up to the ceiling. So we're pressing into the outer edge of the outstretched leg if we possibly can. So we're nice and active in that leg. So strong in the thigh. Check in with your pelvis here. Maybe if you need to tuck your pelvis, do. Just taking a moment here.
And then slowly bringing that arm all the way down. And let's make our way back round to the front of the mat. And very gently and carefully, let's just bring ourselves down onto the mat into a seated position. I'm now going to face you so that you can see what I'm doing. So a bit like when we were laying down doing our supine tree, we're now going to have a go at that seated. So seated with legs away nice and long. Just take a moment to set your posture up here. Maybe you need your yoga block, not brick, or a cushion or something to help you be upright. But if you can sit nice and upright with your feet stretched away, nice and active, and then bring your right foot in as close to your body as you can get it so that you are hugging around your knee. It might not come very close to the body, but get it where you can, where you feel comfortable. And then very slowly and carefully let that knee roll out towards the right. So just placing the foot where it wants to go, where you feel comfortable. Maybe you need to support that knee underneath. So just taking a moment here to let the knee settle, let the hip slowly and gradually open. And let's bring our attention to our spine here from tail to crown, just taking a moment. And let's activate that left foot. So slightly pulling back the toes towards the shin, sitting nice and tall here. And taking and placing the hands just on the shin. So we're just decreasing the angle at the hips a tiny bit until we feel that engagement in the back of the legs. And then slowly back up to center. Let's take that leg away long, give it a bit of a pat. Bring the other one in. So just drawing the foot in close to the body, as close as feels comfortable. Let that knee drop out to the side. When I say drop, you know what I mean. With care. Let the knee go down to the floor. Let's activate into the right foot here. Sit nice and tall. Bring the hands to the shins. And just feel the engagement in the hamstrings into the glutes here. And then sit nice and tall. Straighten both legs away. Give them a bit of a pat here. And now just sit with your legs as wide as is comfortable for you. Maybe that's an oxymoron. Perhaps it's not at all comfortable for you to sit with wide legs, but do your best. See if you can find something to wedge under the base of your spine if you need to, if it helps you sit a little bit more upright. So just finding the place where you can actually turn your muscles off, because they will be quite tight at the moment. So if it feels like that, if everything's screeching at you that this is not good, it's not good, just bring your legs in a little. There's no medals tonight for this position. So it's just reasonably wide where you can be comfortable here. So let's just loop the shoulders round and back. And slightly slide the hands down onto the shins until you feel the engagement there. If you have got your block handy and you can upend it, maybe just rest your head on it so you can really round into your back here. Maybe that's just not going to happen. Perhaps if you can rest on it. All I want you to do is to let that tension be in your legs. You're not going to damage anything. We're just sitting with the breath here. I want you to connect with your breath. Really slowing the exhale. We're only going to be here for a couple of rounds of breath, so maybe just activating the feet slightly, seeing how that changes things. Hopefully you're still breathing. And then slowly and mindfully coming back up to upright. And this time just reaching your hands behind your back and clasping your hands together. So as you clasp your hands together, I want you to be very aware of your shoulder blades and try and squeeze them together. So we get this lovely opening across the front of the body here. We hold a lot of tension here. So just trying to get rid of the tension there. And as we clasp the hands and squeeze the shoulders, let's raise the arms up. It doesn't have to be very far, but you'll feel the engagement. And we're just going to hold this squeeze on for a few breaths. So I want you to breathe with this. It's not holding your breath. So we're just following the breath in and out into the belly. Releasing the tension in the jaw. And then very, very slowly, let's start to lower those hands. And unclasp the hands and just roll the shoulders round and back, and then the opposite direction. And now just bringing your feet in towards the body, so knees are bent. And sitting up nice and tall. I'll sit sideways on actually. Sitting nice and tall, hugging around the knees with your right arm. So you're grabbing onto your left knee. Bring your left hand behind your bum. Sit as tall as you can. So really open in the front here. Sit nice and tall, and it's your ribs that turn. So turn your ribs. When your ribs have turned, you can turn your head and neck and look over your shoulders. That just ensures we're getting the twist from the right place. So this is quite active in the arms here, where we're supporting ourselves, holding ourselves upright. Just connect with the breath here. Take a moment to see how that's feeling. Really try and slow the exhale. And then head and neck come back to center. Release the grip on the knees. And let's take it to the other side. So right elbow hooks around, the left elbow hooks around the left knee, grabs hold of the right knee. Right hand comes behind. Really use that right hand. Maybe you need to use your support behind you to put your hand into, just bring yourself a little bit more lift and length, and start to turn the ribs from here. So it's the rib cage that's moving first. And obviously you will be leading with your right shoulder here. So right shoulder is pulling back. And then we can take the head and neck to have a little look and see how it feels this side. So releasing in the feet, the jaw, the brow. So we're quite active in the shoulder and the bicep in the left arm. And head and neck come around to the front. And slowly release and just round yourself right over your knees here. So imagine that you are just draped over a rock here. Really rounded in the back. And then very slowly and mindfully, getting whatever props you would like to hand, we're going to make our way down into Shavasana. So put on any layers that you might like. If you want to lay on your bolster, if you want your bolster to support you, then bring that into position now. Maybe you want to open your shoulders a little bit more, in which case I would suggest that you lay with your bottom up the very edge of your bolster and let your shoulders open like so. But if you just want to take traditional Shavasana where you're flat on your mat, that too is going to be very, very beneficial. So find whatever position you can maintain easily for the next 5 or 6 minutes. And we will enjoy a lovely Shavasana. Hopefully it's been quite a nice, slow, mindful practice tonight. And we will continue in that theme for our Shavasana. So hopefully you're nice and warm. You've got bolsters and cushions and blocks supporting you wherever you need them to be. So just as we did at the beginning of the practice, we're starting to bring our attention back to our breath. And perhaps observing the rise and fall of the belly once more.
Noticing which parts of the body are being moved by the breath. And comparing how we feel now to how we felt almost an hour ago. So getting a sense that everything has slowed a little. Everything's a little bit longer now. There's a little bit more space everywhere. Perhaps you're aware of the energy buzzing around your body. Perhaps you just feel absolutely exhausted and want to go to bed. All those things are very good. So now let's just work our way through our body with a little bit of a body scan. Starting with the with the right hand thumb, index finger, middle finger, ring finger, little finger, wrist, forearm, elbow, upper arm, back of the shoulder blade, down the back of the spine, into the back of the sacrum on the right hand side, the right buttock, the thigh, the back of the knee, the calf, the heel, the sole of the foot, the big toe on the right foot, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, little toe, top of the foot, the ankle, the shin, the kneecap, the thigh, the hip, and the pelvis, the whole pelvic area, the softness of the belly, the right hand side of the rib cage, the right collarbone, across all the way down to the left thumb, the left index finger, middle finger, ring finger, little finger, palm of the hand, wrist, forearm, elbow, upper arm, shoulder, the left shoulder blade, coming all the way down the back of the left ribs, left hand side of the sacrum, left thigh, buttock, the back of the knee, the calf, the heel, the sole of the foot, left big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, and little toe, top of the foot, ankle, shin, kneecap, thigh, hip, the left side of the pelvis, the soft fleshy part of the abdomen, the left hand side of the ribs, the left collarbone, the sternum and the heart space, coming up the sternum into the throat, the chin, the jaw, the lips, the cheeks, the nostrils, the eyes, the eyelids, the eyebrows, the brow, all the way over the top of the scalp, down the back of the skull, down into the neck, and back into the shoulder blades, Bringing your awareness to the whole body laying here on your mat. The whole body being breathed. The whole body being breathed. So really bringing your awareness to your breath now as you start to introduce some small movements to your fingers and toes. Perhaps running your fingertips over your thumbs. Perhaps circling into your wrists and ankles. And then maybe bringing one knee in towards the chest and then the other. And having a little roll from side to side. And then slowly rolling out onto your right hand side, maybe cradling your head with the right outstretched arm. Just take a couple of breaths here to let the blood pressure equalize. And then very slowly let's bring ourselves up to a seated position. If you have any essential oils that you would like to use at this moment in time, you might want to grab them. And just put a couple of drops onto your palms. And start to vigorously rub your palms together. So keeping your gaze down or your eyes shut, just really rubbing quite vigorously now so you're getting heat in your hands and your shoulders. And then coming to stillness and cupping the hands in front of your face and just take a moment to breathe. So either just appreciating the lovely warmth that's coming from your palms, radiating over your face, or perhaps you've got the added luxury of a beautiful smell as well. Just taking these final moments of your practice to just be in this moment right now. And slowly drawing the palms together and bringing them down to rest at your heart center, at Anjuli Mudra. And just bowing your head slightly in acknowledgement for the time that you've set aside for your practice today. That you've carved time out of your day, be it busy or not, be it stressful or not. You've made the time for a little bit of self-care. And I hope that you've had a chance to appreciate at some point today how truly amazing your body is.